Today, the wife and I are walking through our forested area. We have about 5 acres. The vast majority of it is fully forested. And what we're doing is we're marking the trees that we want to make sure that we keep. I know a lot of people will mark trees to take down, but we're not sure how long it's going to take us to get back through all these. And in the winter time, it's really hard for us, at least because we're not tree specialists, to figure out what is a maple and what isn't a maple. So when we want to make syrup like we did this year in the spring, it's pretty hard to determine. We marked a few of them last year and we're able to find them. So what we're doing is we're taking bright orange tape, landscape or surveyor's tape, and we're just putting it around the trees that we want to mark so that we are sure that they're maples. And I know it's probably not easy to see on here, but if you look up at the canopy here, you could almost make out some maple leaves. Let's see if you could make that out. Yep, there you go. So those are maple leaves. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we find all the maples that are on our property, inside of our property line, and mark them so that in the wintertime we can come back and we can tap those trees, in late winter, early spring. So what we've done is we've gone through and we've marked several trees here. You can see there are some with marks. So there's some back there and over here. We're marking not just sugar maples, but also red maples and silver maples because they give sap, just not as concentrated sugar in the sap. So you got to boil a little more to get the same amount of syrup, but it still tastes terrific and makes syrup. So far we have gone through, a few hundred feet of this tape. So we're probably at 50 to 80 trees, I would think. We'll get a complete count here in a little bit of what we've been able to mark because we're running out of tape and we have only done about half of the property. So for right now though, that's what we're spending our day doing here, just kind of walking through the woods, letting the dogs run around and enjoying some cool weather. It's been very, very nice today. Temperatures in the 60s and just breezy, pretty nice. You can see the wife is out there walking through the woods, looking at the trees to try and determine what's a maple and what isn't. There are a lot of young maples here, like this guy here. If you look, that's definitely a maple, but it's so small and he's directly under the canopy of one that's much bigger and that will probably give us some sap in the next couple of years. This guy's like right on the line of where we might be able to tap him, maybe a couple more years. But this one definitely is gonna have to go. We also have this one here, and this one, we definitely could tap this guy. This guy's pretty big and has plenty of girth to give us at least one tap on there. So yeah, so we're just doing that. We're gonna then spend some time this summer coming through and cutting down some of the under canopy here, remove some of the trees that are really tightly bunched. As you can see, we have some really thick forest in here because this was all unmanaged for years and years, and we'd like to clear it out a little bit, make it easier to walk, let the dogs have a better time coming through because right now it is a little rough, especially for the older dog. Some of the trees that aren't maples, of course, we'll leave, like this giant pine here. This guy is, I don't know, he's got to be 4 feet across. It's a huge old pine tree. We'll leave that one just because, first of all, I'm not, skilled enough at felling trees to handle something that large. But also, I wouldn't want to get rid of something that is, that majestic. But yeah, we can see that there are many trees out here that we're marking, and we're going to continue on. So we'll come back at the end here and give you a kind of a summary of how many we found. So basically the way we did it is this is our driveway. If you come in, this basically cuts our lot in half. Well, maybe like 2/3 this way and 1/3 that way. So we took everything to the right side of the driveway here, looking at the driveway, and we counted all of the trees we marked. And you can see there's a couple here, there's one there, there's a few more back in the woods, but all around the lot we marked anything that was a maple that we want to make sure that we can make a note so that in the winter, as I said, or in the early spring, we can come and we can tap those to get syrup. Right now what we got is we have 40 tapped on the the 2/3 of our property here. So I think in the long run we're going to have at least 50, probably 60. So basically what we have to do is we have to get all of the side over there as well as the whole of the woods back there, and mark all of those trees. Now there are a lot of pines up at the top of that hill, but last year when we tapped, the first few that we did tap, there was a few over here and a couple on the top of the hill, and those gave us a good amount of sap just alone. So these are all new ones that we're marking so far. So 40 more taps than we had last year is pretty good. And we only, ran sap for 1 week last fall, or sorry, this spring. When we did that, we got, about 40 gallons in 1 week from the, 10 or 12 taps that we had total. We had a couple at our other house, and I think it was either 7 or 8 here, or 6 or 7, something like that. Either way, we got a good amount of sap just in 1 week. Now, this year was a banner year for Vermont sap. It was one of the best years that Vermont's ever had. And I think it was record-breaking, actually, for the amount of time that the sap ran. And unfortunately, Diane and I just weren't prepared for that sap to run so long. So this was our first time ever. We didn't have enough wood to burn to melt down, or to boil down all the sap. So we did not make as much as we could have, for sure. We probably could have gotten at least 5 or 6 gallons of syrup made. We only made a little over a gallon, but it's delicious. And we would like to definitely make more. Next year, if you figure, we times our trees by, 5 or 6 from what we did last year, probably even more, maybe 7 or 8 times more, and we run for the whole season, we should be able to get, a good amount of syrup. I would think in the close to 10 gallons range of syrup, which is a lot for just us. And it's free. These trees are out here. They give you the sap. We have plenty of trees that we need to cut down. So we will be stacking wood all summer as we cut it down, and we'll use that wood to burn so that we can then boil the syrup down, right? So there's really no cost outside of pans and time. And we have the pans because we bought them. And last year we bought them at like a Goodwill, because you don't need fancy pans to burn something over a fire. And time in the end of the winter, you want anything that you can do to get outside. You've been stuck in the house for 6 months. You can't do much outside. So at the beginning of the spring, end of winter, it's great to be able to get outside and do something. So for right now, that's what we're going to be doing. So after marking all the trees yesterday, we went home and thought about it, and we really don't want to use orange, because orange is the same color that the surveyors use to mark the boundary lines, and we don't want to confuse boundary lines with maples in the wintertime. So we went to the hardware store today and we picked up some pink tape, which the wife has here. We're going to use pink tape instead of orange, and that way we can easily distinguish the maples from the boundary lines. And one other thing that we did notice yesterday is we were kind of guessing on the circumference of the trees. We want to make sure that we have trees that are large enough. So what we did is we went home and we cut a 31-inch piece of string, and we've got that. So what we're going to do here is we can pull it around the tree. And as you can see from this one, this is much bigger than 31 inches. So this tree is clear to tap. We can easily tap this tree without a problem. So what we'll do is we're going to go through, and yeah, it's 40 of them, so it's going to be a pain in the butt. But we're going to go through and we are going to replace the tags on all the trees with pink tags. And that way, when we're done, we'll know, okay, the pink trees can be tapped in the fall or in the spring when the snow's done, or when the snow's still on the ground. And we'll know that these are trees that are maples and not just trees that are marked for the edge of the property line. We will go through, do all of those, and then if we have time, because it is in the evening here, we'll start marking some of the trees that we didn't mark yesterday, because we have the other side of the property, like these 2 big maples right here. These definitely are bigger than 31 inches. So we've been at this for a while now. We've found a lot of new trees on the other side of our property that we didn't even realize were maples. But we're keeping on moving on here. Just wanted to kind of show what the difference is. You can see that the orange one is back there around that maple that we marked yesterday. I just took the orange off of this guy here. Validated with the string. We just wrap the string around the tree. This one is exactly 31 inches. Basically, from what we've read on the internet and what worked for us last year, is you kind of measure 4 feet or approximately 4 feet up from the ground on the tree. And you should measure the tree at that point. If you measures above 31 inches, it's safe to tap. So like I said earlier, we cut a string, put it on there, wrap it around, take a look, and make sure that that string that's 31 inches doesn't, go around the tree more than, a complete time. And if it's smaller than the width of the tree or the circumference of the tree, then we know that it's not, too small. And if it is too small, we're not marking it. So you can see, like, this tree here is a young maple. This one that's right here. It is, first of all, really close to this other maple that's not super young. So we'll probably end up cutting down some of these, at least thinning them out, because that's also a maple. but that one is by far too small. This one is basically just at 31 inches, and as you can tell by looking at this guy, much smaller in circumference. So this one at 31, this one's probably at like 25 or 24 or something. So this guy's just too small. So we won't mark him because we don't want to tap it and hurt the tree. As you can see, the one back there is the two trunks, and both of those trunks are probably bigger than 31. So just wanted to explain how we were doing it. So as an example of a tree that's, a little too small, yesterday, as I mentioned already, we came around and we marked a bunch of trees. This one was marked with an orange tape, and this one is big enough. But there's one next to it that's a little bit too small. So if you take this one here and you take a look, you can see it's kind of small. Let's see, I'm gonna have somebody hold this for me. You can see that this kind of comes around, right? And we have about, I don't know, maybe 4 inches of extra space. So that tree, even though we marked it, is not big enough to actually take sap from yet. We could possibly injure the tree. So we're gonna leave this one unmarked. We wouldn't cut it down. It's got a good 8 feet between it and the next tree, so we wouldn't want to get rid of it, but it's one tree that we just probably shouldn't take any sap from yet because it's too small. So okay, right now we're going to call it a day because we're going to go out to dinner and get something to eat. We've been wanting to do this for a bit. They're all marked now. We don't have to do anything with them till the end of the, the end of the year, end of the winter next year. What we will do though is probably cut down some other trees around them. We would like to open up the canopies so that the maples have room to grow and stretch their limbs and get as big and strong as possible. We'd also like to keep some oaks if we could find some, but we couldn't find very many oaks. It's unfortunate. There's hardly any oaks over here. The oaks of course drop acorns, which are great for deer and other wildlife, and we'd like to support that if we can. So at some point we might have to plant some, if we remove some of these softwoods, but yeah, for right now, that's pretty much it. We're gonna head out. So thank you again for listening as we talk about what we're doing here on the homestead. And if you like this video and would like to subscribe, you can definitely click the subscribe button, click the like button. And if you hit the bell, then you'll get notified when we post new videos. And we will try to post a new video once a week with what we're doing as we try to prepare this land and get it ready for our long-term usage. Whether that is gardening or collecting maple syrup or building the house or any of those other activities that are going to go on here, we will keep people informed and hopefully keep you interested. Thank you.